Okay, guys, time for more story problems. I know you're thrilled. So let's get right to it. This is indicator 2, day 2, and here's the first problem we're going to look at. Um, one cable television provider has a $55 setup fee and costs $90 per month. Another company has a $105 setup fee and costs $65 per month. And how many months will the cost be the same? Okay, so we want to read and reread the problem. Okay, one of them is a $50 setup fee and costs $90 a month. It's cheaper to get started, but costs more per month. Another has a $105 setup fee and costs $65 per month. So it starts out more, and at some point the cost will be the same though, because the one that has the higher monthly cost, it's catching up, right? Okay, so we've read the problem. It's time to assign a variable. And unless we have a good reason to do otherwise, our variable will just be the thing that we're looking for. And this time, that seems like a reasonable thing to do. So our variable will be m, and that's just a number of months we'll say when costs, or we could say until costs are the same. So at some point they will be the same, and that tells us we're going to have an equation, which is good because we want to find that equation. So in m, this number of months, they will be the same. So we're going to have those costs equal. We just set them equal, right? And once we get to m months, they are equal. So all we have to do is write the cost for each of these after m months. So the equation is kind of just jumping right out at us here if once we think about it that way. We can write the costs for each of these situations because we have m is a number of months, and so we take our initial setup fee. For the first one is 55 plus $90 per month, so that's 90 times m, however many months it is that makes it equal. And the other one is $105, and it's $65 per month. And for a certain value of m, those costs are going to be equal. So we're ready to solve and find out what that value is. So we will get all of our m's to the same side, and we'll subtract 65m from both sides because that way we'll have positive. And when we do that, on the left we have, we'll go ahead and do both steps here separately. 25m. On the right, it's just 105 is all that's left. And I think I have room to squeeze this in. We'll subtract 55 from both sides. And then that takes us to, on the left, just 25m. And on the right is 50. So now when we divide both sides by 25, we're going to get m equals 2. Time to interpret that 2 to what? Well, it's 2 months, right? In 2 months, the cost will be the same. Okay. Now, does that seem reasonable? And yeah, it looks about right. And we can check this fairly easily. That can be part of the interpretation step, is check it. Do we want to plug in 2 months into this equation that we wrote? Is that the way we want to check it? Think about that. That's how we usually check our work. We plug into the equation. That would be a way of checking, did we solve the equation properly? But it wouldn't really be a way of checking whether we have the answer right, because we might have written the wrong equation. We might have made a mistake at that step. So if we want to check this and really check it, we need to check it against the story problem. And that's pretty easy to do. Because we're saying after 2 months they should be equal. So let's just figure out what they both are at 2 months and see if they're equal. So the first one, $55 plus $90 a month. In 2 months, that's $180. And that comes out to, see, 5, that's 3, and we carry the 1, 235. A little bit sloppy writing. So that's how much it'll cost altogether to get you through those first 2 months with that one. The other one, setup fees $105, $65 per month. For 2 months, that's going to be $130. And so add those together, and it's the same, which is good. So it checked out. Everything looks pretty good on that one. Okay, let's look at the next one. $12 decreased by 2 times a number equals 2. What is the number? 12 decreased by 2 times a number equals 2. So let's assign a variable, and that's easy. N equals the number. This is the one kind of problem where you might not really have to do that because you kind of assume that's what it is, but it's fine to go ahead and write that down. Stay in the habit of doing that. So these kind, we just try to read it left to right and fill things in and see if we get an equation. After all, we have the word equals right there. So when I say we want to find the equation because it's already in the story problem, this one really is. So we have 12 decreased by 2 times. So it's decreased by that much, so we're going to subtract 2 times n. And that equals 2. Wow, there it is. I want to pause a second just to talk about the words that it refer to operations. Decreased refers to subtraction. You might have fewer than would be another way to refer to subtraction. You have words like in addition to, or you have some for addition. Product means multiplication. Quotient means division. So get familiar with those as you go, and as you do more problems and you're not sure what one of them means, you'll gain more experience and knowledge and know what all those mean. But I just talked about several of them. That's probably most of them. So we have our equation, and so let's solve it. We got this 12. We need to get that to both sides. We'll go ahead and subtract 12 like that to get the 12 away from the left, move it to the right. So it gives us negative 2n on the left, and on the right we get negative 10. Okay, we'll move up here. Go ahead and write down negative 2n divided by negative 2 equals negative 10 divided by negative 2. Okay, so that cancels. We have n equals 5. And interpretation of that is, well, that's what the number is. This is it's a story problem, but it's a story problem that's about some abstract numbers, not about an actual physical thing. So n equals 5. That's it for that one. Okay, so we have this rectangle now. The length of a rectangle is 5 centimeters times its width. The perimeter is 72 centimeters. Write an equation for the perimeter in terms of the width. Okay, so the length is 5 centimeters times its width. So the length is it's a lot longer, 5 times as long as it is wide. The perimeter is 72. And they want us to write an equation for the perimeter in terms of width. So you probably recognize for these kinds, you draw a diagram. And in fact, that comes in handy for a lot of problems. We could put that in our list of steps. And that's one you might not always do, but you might do pretty often. Okay, so we'll draw a very not good rectangle, but it'll do for this. So, when you draw a diagram, just start labeling it. We have not yet assigned a variable, so we better do that. What should our variable be? They give us a clue with this A. They want us to write an equation for perimeter in terms of the width. So since we're wanting it in terms of width, it makes sense to make width our variable. So we write that on the diagram. And what is this length up here in terms of W? We can write that length, correct? That is, it's 5 times its width, right? So that's 5W. And we just label everything like that. So now we need an equation. So where is the equation in here? The perimeter is 72. And we've got that in terms of width down here, right? If we just go around this thing and add all these up, that will be the perimeter in terms of width. So this might be a little confusing at first. We're told the perimeter is 72, but for A, all we want is an equation for the perimeter in terms of width. Generic perimeter, it's not necessarily 72 in this question, just whatever it is. So we write P, and then we want that in terms of width, and we can do that because we just count all these W's as we go around. So let's say it's 5W plus 5W plus W plus W. So see how valuable it was to assign that variable and draw the diagram, because now we can put the perimeter in terms of width very easily. You just add up all of those distances all the way around, and we can simplify that. Combine like terms, they all are times W, so that's 12W. So that's the perimeter. In terms of the width. And now they say find the rectangle's width. So now we need an equation we can solve. The one we wrote has this letter P in it, which isn't very helpful. But we can plug in 72 for that, right? Because we're told the perimeter is 72. So that's what the one we're interested in. So the perimeter is 72. And it's also in terms of width, that is 5. Oh, no, don't need to write that one again. That is 12W. That's the perimeter in terms of width, and we know the perimeter is 72, so that's our equation. Okay, so solve for W, divide both sides by 12, and we get W equals 6. centimeters. And that's it. Our interpretation of that is that the units are centimeters, so that should be it. We should look back and say, is that a reasonable number? And I think it is. So another day of story problems, right? And we have more. So stay tuned, and I'll see you later.